All right, let's get rolling here. We got plenty of people to see and people to go. Matt, we're going to start with you because I know you have to leave early. So our subject is mindset, um, and especially right now with what we're dealing with in the real estate industry, which by the way is totally a mindset issue, right? Um, you know, what do you do to keep your brain sharp and not falling into the
Yeah.
negative dilemma
No,
that everybody else does?
actually, I think it's a great topic because I think everybody can get talked into, again, with everything that's in the news. Like I was just looking on our MLS, seeing, the inventory and, at the end of the day, it's a contact sport, right? So the worst thing that you can do is sort of, convince yourself that the market is slow and gee, we've got a war going on and nobody's going to buy anything and or nobody's selling because, interest rate, they got rate lock, whatever. There's always going to be transactions going on and it doesn't matter. Anybody that's been in the business, certainly as long as you, Mitch, but anybody who's been in the business as long as a lot have, the market, there's hardly anything as a normal market anymore, right? So it's always changing. And the bottom
Yeah.
line is so important. If I don't exercise for a few days, I start to go crazy. So I think that's the most critical thing. But also, we all consume so much in the way of news, which is all negative, right? We're constantly consuming information, and it's all negative. And I think it's just very easy to decide like the market's slow, or the no one's buying anything, or whatever, no one's listing, etc. You've really got to, what everything works and nothing doesn't. Like I'll tell you something that I just re-looked at yesterday, which I haven't looked at in a long time, which is EXP has online and it's all done for you. You can do it for buyers, you can do it for sellers. I haven't used that in years, but I figured what the heck. So I'm just doing a campaign for sellers right now. So you've got to always be a student and you've got to always, I think, just don't get yourself talked into the market being one way or another, because there's always going to be people transacting no matter what.
Yep.
So that's
Yeah,
my good tip for the day.
it's funny. I talk to a lot of realtors every day, obviously, with what I do. And there's Cam's smiley face. And what I've learned is that most people just follow whatever people are saying. And they get themselves into this whole mental, oh my God, the market's crashing. The market's not crashing. The market's
Yeah,
fine. You might be crashing, but that's because of you, not because of the market.
that's right.
Dave, you're up, bud.
All right. So, from my coaching program many, many years ago, I started out the very first session was on mindset. And I said, if you don't get this right, then you definitely shouldn't be in this business. So I'm just going to share with you a few of the notes that I had that I wrote down from this was very long time ago, but it's pretty, I mean, it's still it's happening today, right? So, you have to understand really like your mindset is the foundation for every single thing you do in business, in life, in everything, right? So let's just dive into some mindset shifts that you can make right now that will help you, right? And Earl Nightingale, he said, we become what we think about most of the time. It's so true. What you focus on grows, right? And if you think about the challenges and the setbacks, like Matt just said, or the negative stuff, all right, you know what? That's what you're going to find. And if you focus on your plan or your goals or your success or your whatever, the positive side, you're programming your mind to deliver those results, right? And I'm going to do another famous quote from Napoleon Hill. What the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And I'll spare you with only one more. Henry Ford, what was his famous one? If you think you can or think you can't, you're right, right? So if whatever you're thinking about, you got to protect your mind. And then the other thing is what Napoleon Hill really, if you study him, he was like think big, guys. Come on, quit thinking so small, right? And it's a skill you can develop. And so how do you do that? You can set ambitious goals and visualize your success and stretch beyond what feels comfortable. When I do a goal every year, I don't do a goal. I do three. I do a goal, I do a stretch goal, and I do a Mamma Mia goal. Guess what? I've never reached my Mamma Mia goal in my whole life. But if you hit your goal, then you have a stretch goal so you don't stop working in October. And then you hit that in December and you still keep working, right? But the most important thing that I think is the real estate market has changed. Do we all agree? Do you agree, Matt? I mean, the old ways of selling real estate and all that stuff, it's gone. It's never coming back. And so many people are like, "Well, I'm going to wait until the market will come back." That mindset, like that's a trap. The market's always evolving. So guess what? That's what we have to do. We have to be innovating and adapting and embracing new tools and strategies, um, and so on. And then Matt, you said it, drama and news and all that. I say drama and negativity, get rid of it. It costs you time, money, but most importantly, we're talking about focus today. It gets rid of your focus, right? Real estate's already hard enough. We don't have to be worrying about, what can you do? Can you go and stop a war, or can you decide that the government isn't going to roll out this new thing for cash buyers and entities? You can't worry about it. You can't do anything. You know what? There's plenty of things that you can worry about to make you better and to make your business better. And why don't we all spend our time and effort working on us and our business and the things that we can control? You just have to protect your energy by really stay focused, mission focused, like laser focused, and just remove distractions, right? You also, I wrote this down. I haven't thought about this a long time, but this from a long time ago. I said, you're the average of the five people you spend the most time around, right? You've all heard that. So if you want to hang out, just look at the people around you, and that's the average you are, right? So what do? You surround yourself with positive, driven, successful people. Hang out with people in this group. That's what I do. And you're in a mastermind group. I taught people, if you're not, get in a mastermind group or get in a coaching group, right? That's how you grow. I wrote down your daily mindset. Most importantly, that's consistency. Consistency is a key. And the other thing is I try to wake up every morning and I like to write down three things that I'm thankful for, right? If you're concentrating and thinking about what you're grateful for, then you don't worry about what you don't have. Way back in the Mike Ferry days, I would chant, "I'm a great salesperson. I'm a great salesperson. I'm a great salesperson," right? But you know what? It's corny, but it actually works. Um, and then discipline, man. That's the key to all of this. It's doing what we don't want to do. I say in the real estate business, I always said, give me 5 years and do the things that other people won't do or are unwilling to do for 5 years, and you'll be able to do for the rest of your life what they'll never get. So discipline, it's not about perfection. It's about small, consistent actions that really add up. My absolute favorite book from Darren Hardy is called The Compound Effect. Every person, every kid, grandkid, friend, when they graduate from high school, like that's the gift they get from me. Graduate from college, that's the gift they give to me. I should own stock in that. And I've given out that book. And the last one is every person, you have to understand that this business is full of rejection. Every salesperson in the world faces rejection. And you just got to remember from a mindset, it's not like a reflection of your worth. It's part of the whole process, right? So embrace it, learn from it, keep forward, keep moving forward, right? People ask me, how have you sold? There's 10,000 homes in Park City. You sold 4,020 of them. How'd you do it? You know what my answer is? I just failed more than anybody else. So I'll just end with this. Your mindset is your most valuable asset. Train it, protect it, and watch how your business transforms. Commit to the daily routine. We've talked about that a few weeks ago. Surround yourself with the right people. Keep thinking bigger. And remember, your business follows your mindset. So that's what I had, Pete.
Yeah, I love it. And I want to tap on it real quick. Yeah. So we look alike. I'm much better looking and younger. So you said something that's really important, and I was going to talk about my family. I want to mention it real quick because I don't want to forget. The people you hang around with the most is going to determine your future. 100%.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that last 6 months of my life, I have dropped probably 50% of the people that I hung out with. Anybody that was drama, anybody that was negative, anybody that just complained about everything, they are no longer in my life, including some of my really close friends, because I realized that a lot of people want you to fail. If people don't understand this, like most of your friends and your family, I hate to say this, they don't want you to be better than they are.
Yeah.
And so they'll maybe you should get another gig, maybe real estate's not for you, blah 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 blah. If I listened to all the naysayers in my life the last 45 years of being self-employed, I'd be dead. I wouldn't be alive. I'd probably be doing cocaine somewhere under a bridge somewhere. Anyways, we got Cam, you're up next, bud.
Come on, guys. Good to see everyone. I love this new format. Seeing everyone's faces is exciting. So this week is huge. This is the turning point, I would say, for most agents that are, they're in that they can do business. They're doing enough business. They're surviving, but they're not really thriving. They're just kind of getting by. They're doing enough deals, but they have that plateau, and it's mindset. And what the previous couple guys said was spot on. But I'm going to change it all around because this is really the defining problem or the defining challenge that every agent that comes to us that's looking for the solution on. Cam, how do we do 25 this year? How do we do 35? How do we do 40? The truth is, everyone, and you will all shake your head and nod with me, hopefully, is that if you had to find a deal, if someone had a gun to your head or your wife's head or your child's head, they said you had to find a deal in the next 24 hours, you'd do it, right? I mean, everyone says, yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. So then the question goes, why don't we? What's wrong with us, all right? What is preventing us from going and doing something we all know we could do? If that's door knocking or going to Starbucks, it doesn't matter. You would go figure out how to find someone looking to do a transaction in the next 24 hours. If you didn't, it would all be over for you. So what is preventing us and what is stopping us from doing those things? And I have read countless books on this. This is my passion because I fought this forever. I mean, this is the complacency of life. This is the human challenge, right? Is we know what to do, but we don't do it. And what I found was what I was setting up, my goals for the objective. And I'm just going to use prospecting because it's very relevant in real estate. That's the biggest thing we do. Our goals in prospecting is every day I would go in, I would wake up, I would do the Mike Ferry thing. I'm a great agent, because that's true. What you tell yourself, you will believe. It doesn't even matter if it's a lie. It's very important to always be telling yourself what you want to believe. With that said, though, my goal was in that day of prospecting is I was prospecting to get an appointment. I wanted to get a yes. That was the goal of the calling. That was the goal of that day is I wanted to get my appointment and have that success. And all darn day, I got no's and no's and no's, and I got beat up on. And after a couple hours of that, I'm sure every single person here can relate, or they've at least tried it a few times. And after a few hours of that, you put the phone down and you go, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. The key there, you guys, and this is the the revelation, is stop trying to get the yes. Change your goals for your day of prospecting to see how many no's you can get. And when I did that simple little tweak, and there's lots of ways you can do this in your business, but that simple little tweak of instead of looking at every single call as a failure because I didn't get that yes, I was able to look at every single call as a success because I achieved what I wanted to, which was getting that no. I hit the no's. And when you got enough no's, guess what? You got someone that said, oh yeah, I'd love to see you. We're interviewing agents here at 3:00. Why don't you come out? And that is the motivation that, at least for me, completely transformed my business. Is I stopped looking for the success and I started rewarding myself for being consistent and doing the work that you have to do, those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls. If you keep giving yourselves on a pat on the back every single time you make the call, even when it's a no, because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get as many no's as you can. So when you start doing that stuff, you'll see that you can then be motivated. You're going to be able to do the things that a lot of us will just completely not even start with because we're afraid of not being able to achieve the goal of getting that appointment or hitting that yes. Now, the second part of this is, and this is really the most important part, is you have to remove your bad habits. Okay, we all have them. It doesn't matter if you drink or you are, it can just be complacency and laziness. It doesn't matter what your bad habits are. Maybe there's social media. I know today that is rampant with younger agents, is kids will sit on TikTok for hours because the algorithm has figured out what we want to watch and it'll just play it in front of us for days and days and days. You got to remove those. If that means you have to go on your phone and just delete Instagram, delete TikTok, delete Facebook, do it right now. Stop letting Meta, stop letting $1 trillion companies that are controlling the population control you, okay? You have to remove your bad habits. If that's alcohol, after this call, go into wherever your China hutch is and pour out your alcohol today. Make the decision that you're going to change your life and do the business. And when you do that, when you make that solid decision, you're going to see that you can reroute your path of life. That flow that feels like you always get stuck in the same thing, right? No matter if you try to work out for 6 months or whatever, you always end up in that same thing. That's because you're not rerouting the flow. You're not rerouting what your real life is doing. And you do that by forcefully, in my opinion, you guys can, if you disagree, that's okay. I'm not your therapist. But if you forcefully remove those things, you're going to find that you'll open up opportunities and you're not going to feel like you're always bogged down. You're not going to say, well, either I can prospect or I can go have a shot of whiskey, or I can decide to do my work, or I can go sit on Facebook or Instagram for 35, 40, 2 hours. That's the real truth, When you forcefully remove those things from your personal time, it gives you time to free up and do other things. So that's all I got right now. I'm gonna let everyone else talk. I know we got a lot of people on, but you guys, this is a decision that you have to make every single day, right? You have to decide that you're going to make it happen. You're going to do those hard things, and you're going to have successes by doing them. Doing the work is the success, you guys. The money and the closings, all of that comes from having the success of doing the work. And when you can figure out how to motivate yourself, change your mindset to have success by doing the work, that's when you'll be able to break through your plateaus. You'll be able to hit 25, 35, 50, 100, so forth and so forth. So that's what I got, you guys.
Cool. 6,222 homes per year. That's our goal. By March 37th. Is there a March 37th? I don't think so. Okay, we're up to Brian. Where are you, buddy? There you are. Oh, you're on mute. Yep, nobody can hear you. Your wife told us she likes that. There you go. That's better.
That's like that. You're right. I'm going to hit my timer so I don't go over. I'm going to give myself just a few minutes. But love this topic. When I joined real estate, I had mentors everywhere around me. There was 35 women and me. I was 23 and I was in an office with a bunch of country club women. So I was just like this son raised in this business with all these women. And so I had all this motherly advice, and it was like, hey, Brian, smile all the time, do this, do that. Your attitude is everything, right? And I adopted attitude is everything. And I put it on my very first notepad when I was at RE/MAX. And then when I went to RE/MAX, I had an office right next door to Brian Buffini. And Brian was sitting there building this massive company, 200 transactions a year at a time. And I was right next door to him doing big deal items. I had big deal. I loved big deals because when you live in Southern California, their big deals are around. So I'd chase one deal to total like 5 of his deals. So I could kind of keep up. And what I learned was my attitude was everything. then how was my attitude? And I started to focus on that. And David said something earlier about worry. So I learned that worrying is a form of meditation. So what you're worrying about, you're meditating. And what you're meditating on, you're bringing about. And so I was in this young guy conflict with, I'm hitting 18% interest in the late 80s. And then I get into the early 90s. We have a crash on the West Coast. And my mindset was, this sucks. Because I lost everything. I had bought my ego pad. I had my cars. I had the girl. I had everything. I had the 6 figures in the 80s. And I lost it all because I didn't understand the business. And somebody else said about Napoleon Hill. I think it was David also. So, one time before I met Randy, I jumped into a routine where I listened to Think and Grow Rich for 90 straight days. And I found it read by Napoleon Hill on YouTube. So I would go to the gym and I would sit and listen to the whole thing presented by him until I shifted. And then I met Randy, and then I had a shift in my business, and I had some other shifts going on. And I'm a pretty faithful guy. My wife and I are very faithful today. So my mindset, I have to protect it. It's the best thing I have, and it could be the worst enemy I have. So if your mindset drifts, or if something happens, your parents die, somebody, the world collides, my mindset is still, I have to control it in such a way that it is everything for me. And the Navy SEALs that are all over San Diego, which we're blessed to be in a military town, especially during a time like right now. I had a Navy SEAL come up to me the other day, and I asked him, are you going back in? And he said, you know what, Brian, it doesn't really matter to me. It's an easy day. And I'm like, wow. You've seen hell. You've been overseas. You've been on this path of war, and you're the elite of the elite. Your mindset is today's an easy day. And I'm like, man, that shifted something in me when I heard that. It's an easy day. Like, what are we dealing with? Ourselves? It's an easy day to control me, but I can't control anything else that's out there. So if I could control myself, I win the day. And you guys on the East Coast, your houses have mud rooms. Your brain needs a mud room. Like, walk in from the weather and leave everything in the mud room, close the door and go into your white, pretty, clean house and leave all that stuff in the compartment out in the mud room. So if you don't have a mud room, I challenge you to go sit somewhere and sit in a drop zone until you have a mud room, and use that mud room as your best friend, and leave the day there and go in there again tomorrow, pick up whatever you need to clean it up before you go out into the weather again. And if you can protect that on a daily basis, your mind is going to shift. And if you can control that, and I can tell you, the book of Proverbs in the Bible, if you read the Message version of Proverbs, there's 31 of them, and there's 31 days in a month. You can pick up Proverbs and read whatever day of the month it is, and you'll find yourself in the Message, which is not scripture. It's just going to be practicality. It will shift you in such a way that you'll thank yourself for doing it. So I'll end there.
Awesome. Great stuff. Great stuff. Boy, we have some smart people on this group. So happy with that. Randy, are you there? Are you speaking, Randy? I don't see you anywhere. I know you're there. I just don't know if you're speaking.
I can't go on camera right now, but so I want to add something. And I think I saw Jordan on here. Let me see if he's still on, because this is a good example. Jordan Kahn. Yeah. So I'll take it from a kind of bit different angle. Is a lot of my conversations are with investors that get their license. So a lot of them are also new in investing, and they also are getting their license because it will enhance their investing business by being licensed, because you get access, right, to MLS, access to properties, access to Realtor Network. However, at the same time, a lot of those investor agents, they get confused, and they try to go after two things at once. They want to learn how to be the best investor they can be, right, and flip houses and wholesale and all that, and they also want to learn how to be a realtor. and make commissions. So most of my conversations with people like that are going to be the same that I just had with Jordan a few weeks ago. I said, Jordan, if you try to do both, you're going to go crazy. You cannot succeed at mastering both things at once when you're becoming a new investor and a new realtor at the same time. So what I always tell them is like, use the license to enhance your investing business. If you get traditional business, outsource that and refer it to a traditional realtor that does that full time so you can collect commission referrals and you stay focused. And that's really what I'm getting at with the mindset, connecting the dots here is the more you resource up and stay focused with where you're going, the easier it is for you to be in a positive mindset. Because I had another conversation with the same type of avatar yesterday, and I painted this picture for her. I was like, okay, imagine you try to pursue both. Learning how to be an investor because you just joined a mastermind and you dropped 20K to learn how to flip houses, and you were told to get your license and you just got it. Congratulations. And now you also want to pursue that and maybe help your friends find houses. Here's what your week will look like. You wake up on Monday, we're like, okay, let me get the marketing out to direct sellers, to some distressed sellers that are maybe, in pre-foreclosure. Awesome. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I got to schedule an open house for this weekend because I want to get some traditional buyers. Hold on. Let me make that happen and call some agents, see what I can do. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. My marketing for the sellers isn't working well. Let me refigure that out. Oh, wait a minute. Someone from the open house called me and they wanted me to show houses to them. Wait, let me squeeze that in. But wait a minute, I don't even know how to do a buyer consultation. Oh, let me try to learn that. Like, this is literally what would go on in this. Imagine what the mindset of that person is. It's just a total mess, right? It's just confusion. You're spinning your wheels and getting nowhere. So that's what I want to focus on is focus. That's the thing. If you can resource up to people on this call, to your upline, if you're at EXP, to coaches. There's so many people that are willing to help you. But if you don't swim towards us, we don't even know you need help. But if you do that, you will gain some wisdom, and hopefully it's about focus so you don't get 100 distractions. And then ultimately that will impact your mindset in a negative way. And then you're going to think that real estate sucks. And then you end up getting a job. And then you're going to be even more negative because you failed. Right? So that's where I will end. Focus. Please resource up.
What a concept, focus. And just for you guys that are on here that know this, I think most of you guys know this, but I offer it all the time. And I do free coaching every day, all day long. So like if anybody's out there and they want to get on a call, just reach out to me and get my calendar and I'll get on a call for you for my coaching sessions are less than 2 minutes. That's all it takes. I'm kidding.
And Mitch, I want to say this one last thing. I want to give props to Jordan because he did this to the T. The other day he emailed me and asked for feedback, but then also he followed the email up. He's like, hey, by the way, I have a seller lead that they are interested in potentially selling if they find a property in Fallbrook. What agent do you think I should connect with to refer this business to? Like, he followed my advice to the T, and now he's getting connected with Jessica on my team. They're going to meet. They're going to talk, right? She does this full time with me. Like, he's going to convert that lead to a commission check much faster than him trying to learn how to become a master buyer's agent when his number one goal is be an investor right now. So kudos to you, Jordan.
Good job, Jordan. We'll let you stay. All right, I have literally 7 hours worth of material here that I'm going to do in a few minutes, and we'll open up to Q&A. First of all, I want to teach you guys something that I've been using for a million years. Yes, I am that old. I call it my 5-minute rule, and this changed my life. I read a book about it many, many, many years ago. I've done it forever. So. A backstory to this, just quickly, is I'm 5'5". I know I look taller than that, so I'm a little guy. And my wife's 4'9". I married her because she fit, and I have a really, really bad temper. Now, you guys would never see it. My wife has only seen it twice in our 26 years together. But you know what they say about little people? It's all stored up, and when we let it out, it's like ah. So, anyways, I would let things like everybody does. Something bad happens today. It happened 2 minutes ago. Most realtors that I know are going to dwell on that for the next 3 or 4 days. right? Or a week or more. I have a 5-minute rule. So I get pissed off, angry, yell, scream. Sometimes I'll just crank my guitar on 10 and just rock out for 5 minutes. But whatever it is, I have 5 minutes to deal with that mentally, and then I put it in my pocket. And once I put it in my pocket, it's gone. I've been doing this for so many years now. The beauty about getting older and being 65 years old is when I put it in my pocket, I forget about it because I forget everything these days. So it really works out really well. But what it allows me to do is compartmentalize my entire life. And this is what I want to get you to understand, is there's nothing that bothers me for more than 5 minutes. Well, and by the way, human tragedy, like my parents dying, obviously was a lot more than 5 minutes, things like that. But with regards, even when I lost $82 million in 2000, which was a bad day, it wasn't 5 minutes, but instead of being a year, it was a 3-day process for me to get through it. It's because I mentally said, all right, I can't change what happened with the internet bubble bursting. And here I am. This is my situation. What do I do to move forward? The way I'm able to accomplish 50 hours a week of work in 25 hours is I've mastered time blocking, which we did a class on that a couple of weeks ago. But if you're not time blocking, you will never have control of your life.
Right.
It doesn't happen. You have to time block. And this all mental stuff, right? I'm going to go back to Dave's, and I want to quote it again because it's the quote I live by. Is by Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. You guys prove that to yourself every single day, don't you? Right? Every day, we all do. Me too, by the way. I'm not, just because I know all this shit doesn't mean I'm good at it. I just know all this stuff. The other thing I will tell you, the biggest mistake I made, not mistake, the biggest positive thing I made when I got in the real estate business is I sat down. I was blessed to have zero training. My broker told me, I'm not going to train you at all at anything figured out. And I'm an entrepreneur. I'd already owned 18 companies before I got into real estate. So it wasn't that difficult for me. But I sat down and I said, $1,500, who gives a shit about $1,500? I don't. Even I was broke, brother. I had $14,000 to my name when I got into real estate. I had 3 months worth of money before I had to go bankrupt after losing all my money. I said, but if I still lost $1,500, it still wasn't going to kill me. I mean, it was the same. I said, what would I do today? And I want you guys to ask this question to yourself. What would I do today if I spent $250,000 to start my real estate business? Think about that. What would you do differently today if you spent $250,000? You know what the answer is? Everything. You would do everything different, right? Because you lose $1,500, who cares? You lose 250 grand. I don't care how rich you are. You lose 250 grand. That hurts, right? So you have to put the pain in your brain to push forward. What does it look like if you don't do this today? What does it look like for not doing that? I said this earlier about drama. Don't follow drama. If you got people in your life that are drama, get rid of them. I wish I've been telling myself that for 20 years, and I kept saying, well, I'll help them. I'll change them. You know what? You cannot change people. People are going to be who they are today, tomorrow, next week, next year, 10 years from now. One of my favorite lines is change the meaning, change the outcome. And by the way, these are in no specific order, but these are all really cool things that I've learned in my life about mindset. Change the meaning, change the outcome. So we give ourselves a meaning to something that could be totally wrong. And I'll give you an example of that. When I was 8 years old, this is what I attribute to me being so driven for the last 57 years. Holy crap. My dad could fix everything. I mean, he built things that nobody else had. I didn't know he was an inventor. I didn't know this till after he died, unfortunately. But I was 8 years old. He was fixing his 1969 Chrysler 318 wagon. If anybody's old enough to remember that stuff. Most of you aren't, but it's pretty funny. And he was sitting there. He goes, Mitch, go get me it was either a Phillips or a regular screwdriver. It's a long time ago. I got him the wrong one. And my dad was a drill sergeant in the Korean War. He went off on me. Like, what are you? Can't give me the damn camera. Which is what he did. We used to call my dad a light switch. And I remember for that moment saying to myself, oh my God, I disappointed my father so much. And my only goal moving forward the rest of my life while he was still alive, and today, was not to disappoint my dad. Now, I will guarantee you 30 seconds after that happened, he completely forgot about it. But I gave it this meaning that my dad was disappointed in me. That he, and that's what shaped. Now, luckily, I went the opposite way than most people. Most people would have went negative. I went positive with it. And I pulled positive. Change the meaning, change the outcome. I remind my wife of this on a daily basis. And it's probably what she says, this is the best thing you've ever taught me. Misery follows misery. So if your life sucks, it's going to continue sucking unless you do something about it. However, activity breeds activity. The more you do, the more you get. And I'll give you an example of that. I'm going to talk about EXP for a second. You know, my business is attracting agents and coaching, right? So in September, I said, I haven't attracted anybody for a few months. I said, let me do that. So in September, because I actually did the work, I attracted 4 agents to EXP. Do the work, it happens, right? This is one of my favorite ones, and I wish I could do this demo. I do it when I'm on stage. So I want you to visualize there's a wall in front of me, and and this is the average human being. Life is walking into walls, right? That's a wall I'm walking into. Walking into the wall, right? And after 2 or 3 times of walking into walls, they sit down. They give up. I'm not that smart. So I'm like 456, 457, 458. My head started hurting, by the way. And they go, oh, there's the door. And I took the next step. Most people stop before they hit the next step. So you've got to keep going. And I'm not saying don't be stupid, but you've got to keep going. And you're going to get walls. That's life. And there's no wrong decision. There's just a decision you make, and you go full throttle on that decision. And after you've tested it for a while, if it doesn't work, then you adapt. You adjust. Again, reach out to me. I'm glad to help anybody. You guys want help, just reach out. I tell you guys all the time. Positivity wins, always. People ask me why I've been so successful. I am not that smart. I'm definitely not good looking, but I am kind of funny. And that's what propelled my entire career in everything I did. I may not be the smartest guy in the room, but I will tell you I'm going to be the best dressed in a room, and I'm going to be the most positive in a room. And I'm going to be the happiest. You'll never see me without a smile. Even if I'm pissed off, it was 6 minutes ago. So you don't see it 5 minutes later, right? This is another one. This is another Tony Robbins thing. Break the pattern by breaking the pattern. And this is really, really important. And I'm going to give you a real estate way how I use this. So I love for sale by owners. Probably one of my favorite things I did to build my business. And so I would knock on a door instead of saying, look at me, I'm a realtor. I'd say, hey, my name is Mitch with eXp Realty. Before you say anything, I don't have any desire to list your house. And the physiology of their face changed completely every single time. They're like, I go, do you have a seller's disclosure? And they're like, what's a seller's disclosure? I go, and none of them ever do. I go, well, if you don't fill a seller's disclosure, disclose anything potentially wrong with your house, you can be liable for up to 5 years after you sell your house. He's like, didn't know that. And I used to have a 75% close rate on for sale by owners doing that, breaking the pattern. I had another guy come into my office, right? It was a funny story. And we got a little time, so I'm going to tell it to you. So I had this guy calls me on the phone. This is when foreclosures, this is like 2007-ish, foreclosure really coming out strong here in Florida. And one of my agents told her customer that he could sell his house someplace else and close the same day he closed on a Fannie Mae property. Well, anything we know about Fannie Mae is you're not going to close on time. Very seldom, right? So he calls me up yelling at me, I need to close this by Friday. This is a Wednesday. They found another lien on the house. They tell me I can't close till Monday or Tuesday, blah, 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 blah. And I said, sir, you can't yell at me on the phone. If you want to meet me in my office, I'll be there 10:30. I walk in at 10 o'clock and the guy's there. And I walk in, the guy stands up, and literally my head goes like this. He's 6'5". Remember I told you I'm 5'5", right? He's 6'5". Angriest scowl on his face, and I love that stuff. It's kind of fun for me, right? So we go in the conference room, he slams down his keys, and I'm not going to swear because this is recorded, but I said, sit the F down, shut the F up, or get the F out of my office. And the guy looked at me because here's this little tiny guy, right, telling him to shut the F up. And I said, you have 2 choices right now. I don't need to help you. I'm going to make $2,000. That is not going to affect my life at all. So you can either sit down with me and have a conversation about what's going on, or walk away. So we sit down, and the story was heartbreaking. He's dying of cancer. He's going in for experimental treatment on Monday. This is Wednesday. They're supposed to close on Friday so he can make sure his wife was all set up. He starts crying. I start crying. I'm a wimp and all that. I cried everything. My granddaughter makes fun of me. She goes, you even cried at Ice Princess Pops, which I did. Anyway, so because he actually poured out to me what was going on, because I was strong enough to break the pattern, I was able to write a really good letter to Fannie Mae, a really good letter to title company, and I got them a waiver. He closed on Friday, went through experimental treatment, survived, and came back after he survived and hugged me, said thank you for doing that, because he probably wouldn't have made it. He probably would have died because his mindset was so positive going to his treatments versus going in negative with his wife's not upset. So break the pattern. And then my final thing I'm going to give you, which is really important for all you guys, is don't be attached to outcomes. Right? You're going to have deals fall apart. You're going to have everything negative in life is going to happen. People are going to say no to you. People are going to be mean to you. People are going to yell at you. Just let it blow off your shoulder. It's not personal. And maybe sometimes it is because, Cam was my realtor. I'd probably yell at him too. But the reality is they're not going to kill you generally. You can't react to things that are going to happen to you because it'll kill your business. Right? That's where the 5-minute rule comes in really well. The compartmentalize. And I'll give you one more tip real quick. Your expectations are not their expectations. And I have a whole story behind this, which I'm not going to teach you tell you today. But whatever you expect them to do, all your disappointments in your life with your kids, with your friends, with your spouse, is about your expectations. Right? You have different expectations than they have, so you have to get on track with the expectations. If you can get rid of expectations, which I have, life-changing. Like I have very little stress, even when I have a stress, because I don't have any expectations of anything. I don't expect to look good, so I don't expect to be funny, even like I am sometimes, at least funny looking. But I don't expect anything out of my employees, my agents, my spouse, my kids, my credit. I expect nothing, and you know what I get? No disappointments. All right, we got about 15 minutes left here. I want to open it up for you guys. If anybody wants to ask any questions about anything, you got some really talented people on here to help you. If not, we'll cut it off early. So, anybody got any questions about anything?
I got something I want to throw in here before we cut it off. For a lot of folks, at least that I'm seeing, younger guys, younger ladies, it's hard for us to do stuff if we're not forced to do it. Meaning, like, it's hard to get up at 5 a.m. and go to work out and do the things you need to do. Like, unless you're like got a gun to your head, you don't want to do it and you're lazy. And maybe you'll do it for a week or you won't. What I have found to work the best when you are when you have that type of personality, right? So that's a personality type. Figure out why you're doing this. It can be to, fund your kids' college accounts. It can be buy a new car. It can be to buy a new house, whatever it may be. Open up the account and start putting the money away so that you can't see it. Get your bank account to start looking at like zero to force you to get up and do the work. That has worked extremely well. If you're wanting to buy a car, go out and buy the car. I know, crazy thought here. Go out and buy the dream and then do the work to get it done. Because if you're one of those types of personalities that you just feel like, man, I know what I need to do. I just don't know how to get the motivation to do it. And I don't really believe I'm ever going to achieve what I want. Well, it's time to do it. I promise you, if you do the work, you'll achieve it. That's what all of us on this panel are talking to you about. We've all been in that exact same situation. We put our nose to the ground. You work your tail off for 8, 9, 10, 12 months, and you'll have that goal. Now, you're not going to be able to go to space, okay? But if you do it for 10 years, you'll be able to go to space. You'll have a ton of money, I promise you. So force yourself. If you can't do it without that fear, then force yourself. Get out there, leverage yourself, buy the house, get the mortgage, buy the car, and then go to work and pay for it. Because when you do the work, the results will come.
Yep, very true. What else?
Pete, or Mitch, you said something that I'm going to give away a little nugget here. By a show of hands with whoever has their camera on, anybody have somebody in their life that knows how to push their buttons? That they push your button, like Mitch, when you went ballistic, right? So there was a time in my marriage where I had to go see a marriage therapist because I was that guy. And my wife used to tell the therapist that Brian just knows how to push my button, right? So life, real estate, traffic, anything can just push your button when you least expect it if you're not protecting what is most important to us, right? So if I can't give myself permission to relax, which I have to do, I'm an adrenaline junkie. So I'm always thinking. My metabolism runs fast. I'm thin. I can't put on weight. My pants have been the same size since I met my wife 35 years ago, right? I'm a 32 waist. I can't even put on, because my mind is just off, just going. I'm blowing metabolism all the time. So what this doctor said to my wife was, though, which was for me to hear, but it was for her to do. When he said, really, you have somebody in your life that pushes your button and you go ballistic when you least expect it. He goes, let's talk about that. And to get to the end of this, he said, where is that button? And she just said, it's just inside of me. It's just, I don't know when he's going to set me off, but he's going to set me off. He could walk in the front door and not notice I cleaned the house, and I just go nuts. And he said, well, if it's your button and it's inside of you, who's really pushing it then? You're pushing it. You're making a decision to push a button based upon a reaction that you were expecting. He goes, if you lose an escrow, that's inconvenient. You wrote a script and you forgot to give it to the person who needs to read the script you gave them. And then they get to decide, do I want to act out your script for myself? Or am I going to be like water on a duck's back and not let you push my buttons? This business can push your buttons if you least expect it. So I wrote out an avatar client, and you all have one. It's the client who did everything right. If I said, Cameron, tell me about your favorite client. Your favorite client, what'd they do right? Everything.
All cash, waterfront buyers.
Yeah. Yeah.
They listen. They listen.
Days.
That's what they do right. They listen. And those people that have all the cash, it's because they've listened to advisors and they've listened throughout their lives. And those are the best buyers.
That's right. And what best buyers do is they take advice. So if you have an avatar client, mine was a guy named Junior Seau. Some of you may have heard him. Junior was my favorite client because he didn't have money issues. He had a need. And he saw a house that he bought from the curb. He didn't even go inside the house. He bought a $4 million house because of the view. And he just looked at me and said, make it happen. And I took that away as like, well, every buyer could be that way if I prep them ahead of time. So I started building avatars. And an avatar is a buyer who wants to do everything a seller wants them to do. So I'd say, hey, do you know what it takes to get your offer accepted and what a seller's looking for in today's market? And those buyers would want to know. So they would prep more. So I started building avatars. And I challenge all of you to start taking the clients and prepping them on what it is you really, that script that I would talk about, right? If you gave them the script, give them the script to be the best buyer or be the best seller for the market they're stepping into. And that will change your mindset because your clients will then begin to understand like, oh, it doesn't have to be the American nightmare. It can be the American dream again, right? Because I'm not going to do things the way it happened to me the first time. I'm going to set myself up for success. And as agents, we get to choose our clients. You don't have to work with the ones you don't like. And if you can't help them be better, then don't put yourself through that. Refer them. 25% of misery is better than misery.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, if I had to do my life over again, I would have honestly don't think I would have ever sold a house. I think I would have just been a referral agent. Yeah. Make a phone call and you're done. Right? In fact, we're building out a referral company right now, which is just kind of fun. All right. Anybody else? Dave, did you have something to say? You looked like you wanted to say something, Dave.
Yeah, I love what Cam said about that story, and I've used that one. If your child had cancer and they were going to die if you didn't have a deal by tomorrow, you'd go find it, right? So one of the things that I did a long time ago is I love to do things, from a mindset standpoint that changed my attitude, right? Or something that can change my activity, right? So I came up with this concept of start every day at 0, right? So let's all imagine here for a moment. You have no listings, no pendings, no closings, no buyers, no leads. no prospects, no sphere of influence, no referrals, nothing, and no savings and no money in the bank. If that were the case, what would you do? Well, you would spend your entire day looking for business. All you would do is focus on finding one buyer, one seller, or one investor to write a contract. That's what you do, right, Cam? And the thing is is there somebody in every single one of our markets that wants to buy or sell today? Then go find it. Go get yourself in the middle of it, or better yet, get on both sides, right? I always say nothing happens until a sale's made. So if you take this simple concept, and you remember that what your job is lead generation, you can add many transactions. You can add 1 or 2 transactions a month to your business, right?
I got to jump in here. I got to jump in real quick, David. Something you said there. You know how I said this too, is that if we said that you had a gun to your head or it was your family member, you'd go find a deal. I just realized that maybe a couple of the people on this call or people watching the recording might not know exactly how to go find a deal in 24 hours. Like, what would I actually go do to find a deal in 24 hours? And I'm going to make this overly simple, but it's really important to hear. You would talk to as many people as quickly as you could. That is what you would do. And you would have something to offer them, right? You can make it up, you guys. It's all made up. So you have the best deals on the market. You got a list. If you talk to 1,000 people today and said, I have a list of the best homes on the market, are you interested at all? You would find there are going to be dozens, if not hundreds of people who would say, yeah, I might be interested. That's it, you guys. And I sorry to cut you off there, David, but it was just the thought that if you didn't know, you have to have an offer and you got to get that offer in front of as many people as possible. There you go. Go ahead, David.
Well, and the thing is you know who this works for? Every single person on this call. It doesn't matter if you have, hopefully nobody on this call is in that position with no money, no list, no, right? But we are all in there. But what it does from a mindset standpoint, we have 35 properties for $51 million under contract today. So I could say, I don't need to do my job today, right? Somebody that has 10 listings right now, they could say, I got 10 listings. I don't have to do it. Somebody that has 2 buyers under contract, they can say, I got 2 buyers. It doesn't matter. Somebody that had just closed their escrow and they got a little check or a big check in the bank, they can say, I don't need to do my job today, right? So this concept works for everybody. It doesn't matter at what level, but when you focus, if I focus on, I'm going to start my day at 0, boy, I can find something.
I'm going to give you guys something to do. We're going to finish this with this. I've done this when I've taught classes, and you guys can all do this today, and you all should do this today. And I'm going to give you. I did a class for 100 agents. This was last year, and out of 100 agents, we generated 185 leads in 8 minutes. And I guarantee you, 50% didn't do this. I was at the bar with a friend of mine a couple weeks ago. He was complaining, it was about a month ago, complaining about not having any business. I made him do this, what I'm going to teach you right now. And he got 2 leads in less than 10 minutes and sold 2 homes in 2 weeks. Yeah. The other thing before I tell you how to do this, I want you to understand, if you want to be successful, you're probably not going to be. If you need to be successful, you probably will be. Right?
Yeah.
But here's what I want you to think. So I want you to write this down. I'm going to say this slowly as my ADD self can say this, which is really hard. I'm in a class right now, and we're having a contest. And I could really, really use your help. If you know someone looking to buy or sell a home, could you send me their contact info? You need to text that to every single person in your phone today. And you will have sales in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm in a class right now, and we're having a contest, and I could really, really use your help. If you know someone looking to buy or sell a home today, could you send me their contact info? 2 things that are going on that are important there. The words really, really, very powerful. Like if you watch any of my marketing stuff, it's, as you know, as a realtor, I work by referral only. Can I really, really use your help? Right? It's really, really very important. And then the other thing is I'm never ever saying give them my contact info. I'm like, please send me their contact info. Because I want to call up and say, hey, Bill, my friend Dina told me you were looking to sell a house, blah, blah, blah. Right? If I say to Dina, go ahead and give your friend my phone number, you may or may not do that, and then they may or may not call me. I want control. But we generated 185 leads in 8 minutes. I was teaching a class in Indiana last January. Average sales like $325,000. Girl walked out of the class with a $1.8 million listing. Right? This works amazing. And then, so the guy that I taught that to, by the way, he does it on the holidays too. He's like, every holiday, like St. Patty Day is coming up. I'm just looking for my pot of gold, looking for a referral at the end of the rainbow. He had a little leprechaun looking for over a rainbow into a pot of gold. I mean, you can be creative. Easter's coming up. I could hop around for joy if you gave me a referral. Just jokes, make it funny, right? But the reality is it's stuff that you guys can do today, to answer Cam's question, today to generate sales. It's talking to people. Just do it through text. It's easy. It's simple. It will get you business. And one last thing before we hang up. If you look at your phone, you guys have heard me say it before, you look at your phone and see how many contacts in there. 7 out of 100 people in your phone are going to buy and sell a home this year. The question is, will you be the realtor or not? Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you guys all next week.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
See you guys.